What is going on, guys? I'm Tyler, and yes, I am back, and I am here to tell you that Sicario Day of the Soldado is no perfect movie. And the movie stars Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin, just like the first film, and in it, they decide to start a war between rival drug cartels in order to shape the way things are going now that cartels are smuggling terrorists across the border. So Josh Brolin's character hires Benicio to kidnap a cartel leader's daughter in order to instigate that war. The problem is that cartel leader has some pretty powerful friends in the police force, and they ambush the kidnapping, so Benicio and this new girl, Isabela, have to find their way across the border all by themselves. And I was really looking forward to this movie because, based on the marketing, it seemed to focus more on the things that I liked about the first film: the gritty atmosphere, the uncompromising action scenes, and the fact that Brolin and Del Toro were two of my favorite characters from the first film. And like most people, I think Del Toro was robbed of an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He did kind of steal the movie during the last half hour of Sicario, I'm not going to lie, but that was still one of the best parts. And what I can say is this: the best parts about Sicario are just as good as they are in Soldado. It is a well directed, well acted crime thriller that expands a few things about the first film, but I have to be honest, and I've got no problem with this, but it does follow some of the lesser aspects of Sicario and kind of adds a couple new ones. But for starters, let's look at the direction. This is not directed by Denis Villeneuve, unfortunately, and I'm kind of surprised Taylor Sheridan didn't direct this movie either, because you would think with Wind River he'd want to keep trying this stuff more, but I've heard that they're going to make a third one to this, and I hope Sheridan directs this one too. But this, Soldado, is directed by Stefano Sollima. I hope I got that right. He's directed a lot of Italian crime thrillers. His most famous one is called ACAB, which translates that to All Cops Are Bastards. My aunt is on the OPP police force, so I can't really side with that, but I get where they're going with that. So he does have a lot of experience directing crime thrillers that focus on the seed of corruption within the government, which is definitely a focus for these films for sure. And he does a good job of replicating Villeneuve's crime thriller style. There are a lot of wide shots that make the scope of everything that's happening look huge in comparison. They're just like the first film, there are a lot of longer takes that are uninterrupted that are meant to build up the tension, and they do that. The action scenes are just as brutal, if not maybe a little more so this time around. And again, the scope is huge. When you see a helicopter fire at a car, you can feel the weight and the grittiness involved with it. And again, it's all practical. There's no CGI. There's no shaky cam either. There's a lot of still shots when they're firing at other people, and I really appreciated that because there's more clarity, and you need that in order to hit someone and make them feel dirty about what they're watching. So Sollima did a really good job kind of being a chameleon in this case, kind of replicating the style of someone else, but he did a good job either way. And as for the actors, Benicio del Toro once again steals every scene that he's in as Alejandro. And the movie also expands a little bit of his backstory in regards to why he's this mercenary, this Sicario. You learn a few things about his wife and kids that make you feel more sympathetic, despite the fact that in the first film, he would be willing to hurt just about anyone, including children. So when I first heard about the plot for this, I was a little concerned that it would be hypocritical, but they did come up with a good reason as to why he's protecting this girl, who also gives a really good performance. I'm not sure if she's done anything in the past, but I gotta say, she's better than most kids' sidekicks in regards to movies that have a plot like this, because usually they just whine and bitch about the situation and that they wish everything went back to normal and crap like that. This girl starts off like that. Like, in the first scene that she's in, you can tell that she loves having a powerful father figure and can do whatever she wants, but once reality starts kicking in, she actually shuts up and watches what's going on and reacts to it like any other person would. She becomes more quiet as the film progresses, and I again appreciated that. It's not like it's not like earlier this year with Proud Mary where the kid just goes on and on about how things suck for him. And Josh Brolin, again, is such a dirty bastard in this one. And at first it is a little weird because in his first interrogation scene, he has this full beard, he's wearing shorts, he's wearing Crocs too. I don't get that, but once you realize the amount of power that he has over people when he's interrogating, when he's extracting people, you definitely get the sense that this guy means business. But the movie also focuses more on the ethics that he has, as very few as they are, because he has a ton of respect for Alejandro, and when he basically has to turn on him during the second half of the film, he feels conflicted. He feels guilty about the scenario, and you almost feel sorry for him. Almost. I mean, you still think he sucks because he's selling out his other people, but that's unfortunately the nature of the beast here. Now, as I said before, the movie does suffer some of the problems that Sicario had. For example, again, there isn't really a central character until like late the second half of the movie, because in Sicario it starts off following Emily Blunt and then nope, it becomes Del Toro's movie. Here it kind of goes back and forth from Brolin and then Del Toro, who doesn't show up till like 15 minutes into the movie, and then there's this kid in Mexico who his plot line is slowly building up until he meets with Del Toro, and that's another flaw that this one has that the first one also had. If you remember the first movie, you remember that there's this Mexican cop who gets caught up in corruption in order to support his family. In Soldado, there's this teenage boy who gets caught up in smuggling to, again, support his family. And I'll say this, in Soldado, the kid's plot line is done a lot better, because when he does meet up with Alejandro in the actual storyline, it's a real game changer to the plot. Things go in a huge different direction that I did not expect, and it felt a lot more tense as a result. But when he's still building up his story and not meeting up with the other characters, it's nowhere near as interesting in comparison. And that's, again, something that I had a problem with the cop in Sicario, because in the end, when his plot line is resolved, it doesn't feel like there's much consequence to it, at least not for me. So overall, I think Soldado is a worthy successor to Sicario. It does feel more like a spin-off, and there are some people who are complaining why this movie even exists, but let's be honest, no movie really needs to exist. So, on the whole, I would give Soldado a 4 out of 5. It is just as well acted, well directed, and has a well enough focus on moral ambiguity in regards to American government protecting their country. So I would definitely recommend seeing this movie, and I gotta say, it feels good to make another video again. So thank you very much for watching. If you like what you've seen here, be sure to subscribe and check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com. Turns out I'm still a little bit rusty as I'm saying that. And once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.